everyone, I hope you're all well. Today I'm so excited to be sharing a tutorial on how to make my new sewing pattern, the Hazel Dress. This video is going to be an in-depth tutorial where I show you how to make the Hazel Dress step by step. So follow the link in the description below this video and purchase the pattern, and let's make this lovely dress together. So a little bit about the Hazel Dress. The Hazel Dress is a thin strapped square neckline dress that's ideal for summer, but is also the perfect layering dress for the colder months. It's available from roseryapparel.com in either physical form for $45 or digital form for $25. So the good news is you can download it, print it, and start sewing with me today. Purchasing one of my patterns is an amazing way to support me and my channel, and allows me a lot more time to dedicate to making helpful and inspiring tutorials for you. So without further ado, let's make the Hazel Dress. Once you've purchased the Hazel pattern, you'll need to decide what size is best for you and then cut the pattern out at that size. Alternatively, you can use some tracing fabric or paper to trace the pattern out in your size so you can keep the pattern whole for use later. You will also need to decide whether you'd like to make the longer skirt version or the shorter skirt version. For this video, I'm making the longer midi length version. Next, cut out all the pattern pieces in a fabric of your choice. I'm using some lovely vintage fabric I found on eBay, but I'll share a link to some similar fabric down in the description below. Once all your pieces are cut out, it's time to start sewing. Start by applying some lightweight interfacing to the wrong side of the front and back facing pieces. This step is optional and I don't always do it, but the interfacing does give the fabric a bit of structure, which helps make the neckline of the dress sit nicely. Next, to make the straps, press each strap piece in half to create a center crease. Then press each outer edge to the center. Fold the strap in half once again and pin in place. Top stitch along both edges of the strap, then pop aside for later. Now to make the bodice. Using a water erasable pen and the bodice front and back templates, mark the 3 points of each dart onto the wrong side of the fabric pieces. Make each dart by matching the two bottom markings together and fold until the top point of the dart and pin in place. Stitch the darts starting from the top point and without backstitching to the bottom of the dart, creating a kind of triangle shape. Once the darts are sewn, tie off the loose threads at the top point of the dart with a double knot, then press the darts flat, making sure to press them towards the center of the bodice. On the right side of the bodice front, place the strap ends to the top corners of the bodice like this. Next, place the front facing onto the front bodice with right sides together and pin in place along the top edge, pinning the straps in place at the same time. Stitch in place, securing the straps as you sew. Once sewn, trim the excess fabric away and clip the curved edges if needed. Turn and fold the front facing to the back of the bodice and poke the corners out as you turn. Press the folded fabric to create a nice crisp edge. Next, place the the other strap ends to the bodice back as we did for the front, making sure the right sides of both the bodice front and bodice back are facing. Place the back facing pieces onto the back bodice pieces with right sides together and pin in place along the top edge, pinning the straps in place at the same time. Stitch in place, securing the straps as you sew. Then, just like before, trim the excess fabric away and turn and fold the facings to the back of the bodice, poking the corners out as you turn. Now, with right sides together and ensuring the strap isn't twisted, place the back bodice onto the front bodice and pin together, matching the underarm seam. Then stitch in place. I like to overlock after each seam to give the dress a nice neat finish, but this is totally optional. And if you don't have an overlocker, you can use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine instead. Once sewn, press the seam flat at the underarm edge. Next, overlock or hem the raw edge of the facing to prevent it from fraying. And the bodice is complete. For the skirt, start by overlocking or zigzag stitching the curved edge of all 4 pocket pieces. Next, take your front and back skirt pieces and with right sides together, stitch the pockets to the sides of the skirt pieces, matching the notches together. If you're like me and forgot to cut the notches out, place them approximately 10 centimeters or 4 inches from the top of the skirt. Place the skirt back onto the skirt front with right sides together and matching the pockets together. And stitch together along the side seam, remembering to stitch along the pocket edge. Next, make the stitch length of your machine as long as possible and stitch 2 gathering rows along the top edge of the skirt. Then, gently pull the threads and gather the entire length of the skirt until it's approximately the same width as the bodice. Once gathered, match the side seams together and pin the skirt to the bodice. Stitch in place, being careful not to catch any fabric underneath as you sew. Now it's time to put the zip in. Using an invisible zip, start by pinning and stitching it to one of the edges of the dress, making sure to attach your zipper foot to your machine for this part. Next, pin and stitch the other side of the zip to the other side of the dress, matching the top of the zip teeth to the top of the dress, or in other words, at the facing seam. Once the zip is attached, fold the facing onto the zip and stitch together to enclose the zip nicely inside your dress. Then sew the back of the skirt together. Now all that's left to do is top stitch along the neck edge to give it a nice finish and to stop the facing moving about. You can also hand stitch the facing to the bodice on the inside of the dress if you like, but this is totally optional. And lastly, hem the entire bottom edge of the dress. And you've made yourself a beautiful handmade dress to add to your me-made wardrobe. I hope you enjoyed this step-by-step tutorial on how to make the Hazel dress. If you have purchased a copy of my Hazel pattern, whether it be digital or physical form, thank you so much. Your support means the absolute world to me. If you've made a Hazel dress of your own, then I would love to see it. So be sure to tag me at Rosery Apparel when you share it on Instagram and use the hashtag Rosery Apparel so I can see. The Hazel dress is the second sewing pattern that I've created, so be sure to check out my online store to see some of the other patterns that are available and subscribe to my channel for more sewing videos like this one. Have a lovely day and thanks for watching.